Alrighty, welcome back guys. So, as you can tell, I got a mess going on in the garage still. But today I'm actually going to go ahead and start on making the power steering lines. So, we actually ended up getting some AN line from Summer Racing, Got stuff from Vibrant, because stuff's usually some good stuff and I've seen other people use it. So, I just decided to get what works. Also got another AN fitting because I will be using this to adapt to a power steering cooler that I got from Chase Bays, which has not come in yet. But in the meantime, I'm gonna try and do whatever I can just to kind of start the project going and just get everything going. But yeah, so for now, right now I actually have the Maximum Motorsports kit that I'm about to install on the power steering rack. I have those little Teflon O-rings kind of chilling in some hot water right now just to kind of soften them up because they are a little difficult to get on these. So I figured maybe a little bit of hot water, soften the Teflon up and have them just slide right on. And then as they cool, they'll contract and tighten up around the fitting. So, of course, you got our instructions from Maximum. Very, very detailed, so we should not get lost on this one, but this is actually a really simple installation, so I'll get to it, get that set up. I'll probably end up using my old broken bushings for now on the power steering rack, just get it mocked up, and then when the new ones come in, they should be in here tomorrow. I will get them swapped out and get everything bolted back up. But for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up the last two bolts because I did have to go get a wrench. My roommate actually ended up buying wrenches, so I was like, I'll just use his. So, because what we needed was a 15/16, which I did not have. I have every other wrench but a 15/16. So for now, I'll get this knocked out and I'll show you how it looks once it's done. Alrighty, so we got the adapters in on both ends. We also have these. These were torqued down to 22 foot-pounds according to Maximum Motorsports instructions. So that's what I did. Took my handy dandy torque wrench, torqued those down. Now for the next piece of the puzzle is to actually start on test fitting these 90s and seeing what fittings go where, see if I want to use a 45 or a 90 or even a straight through. I will be putting a Y block in it because the low pressure side, from which I believe is this one right here, the low pressure side from the hydroboost and the low pressure side from the steering rack will be conjoining together, and from there I'll try and find a good spot of where to mount the power steering cooler, but I think it'll be around right here in front of the radiator. Should get plenty of airflow somewhere around there. But the two lines will come in, go through the power steering cooler, and then up into the reservoir, then of course down into where the pump will be on the power steering side. So with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, fast forward a couple days. We got some more parts that came in. Got the Maximum Motorsports bushings came in to replace the broken ones, and also some goodies from Chase Bays. Got the power steering inline cooler for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start whipping up some of the power steering lines for the cold side or low pressure side and get those swapped in. Here we got the first line made, and you can actually see the quality of the vibrate line, just how flexible it is compared to the high pressure line that has zero give at all. Really nice stuff. Here's a quick tip when you're building it. Super difficult to see, but make sure that the hose seats all the way on the inside before you put the second piece and tighten it down. That way the fitting doesn't come off and you don't get a leak. Alright, so we got a small problem. I actually ran out of AN fittings. So when I initially purchased the AN fittings, I was not planning on running a power steering cooler. So when building the line that was gonna go from the Y, it was actually not even gonna have anything on the end, because for the overflow tank, it's just a slip fit with a hose clamp. That's just how I was gonna run it until, you know, I could afford a little bit something a little bit more bougie. But for now, I will have to go pick up 2 more 6 AN fittings, which kind of sucks because they are a little pricey. These are about 10 bucks a piece, so that's another $20. So set that down. Anyhow, we also got the pump to hydroboost line kind of mocked in. I think I like this setup better than running it down here. I mean, I know it looks like a huge mess right now, like a huge clusterfuck, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. You can't really escape all these lines. Like, even if you use the stock ones, that like the factory lines, they might look a little bit neater, but there's very limited room. I'm gonna try and see if I could squeeze this one the same way I did that one, try and hide it a little bit more, and just kind of make it blend in. That back one, it's gonna stick out. Hopefully once the motor's in and with the intake manifold, it will hide it. I'll try and figure out a way to kind of zip tie it up out of the way. It's just that this line does not like to flex whatsoever. So I really did want to run it through there, but there's just not enough room to run the hose. But it looks like the hose will be almost a perfect length. Perfect length for the power steering pump, because the pump, like I said, it does sit in this general location. Right now I kind of just have it in between my fuel lines just to kind of hold it for me. As a second set of hands. Here I got some vacuum lines. You know, I'll make sure that these aren't all twisted up once it comes time to actually put it in permanently. Now the next issue will be hooking up the brake lines to the hydroboost, which I do have those new brake lines from LMR made by Maximum. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and move forward with that and get rid of that non-power brake junk. Alright, so forgot to film an outro and got a little bit late on me, but the hydroboost setup is already in. So here's the old setup. Has all the jank lines I had on it. These are just, I think these were actually some Maximum Motorsports lines that actually ended up just bending like crazy that I had on my old setup with the power brakes when I ditched the vacuum booster and just went with manual brakes. This is just another Maximum Motorsport piece. Super nice. I actually really liked it. I had no issues with it. But for me, I just want my 3 pedals to be similar at least. I don't want one pedal insanely stiffer than the other. That way it'll just at least help me with heel toe and all that. But anyways, so we got the hydroboost lines in. I actually decided to rerun this line. It's actually not bad. The angle right here isn't very severe, and also it's nice. It's on a nice rounded edge, so it's not gonna get cut. I'm still gonna go ahead and run a small piece of vacuum line right here just so it doesn't cut up the fibers, because underneath this is actually stainless steel braided lines, so I won't have an issue there. But with this line, it actually runs pretty straight underneath here, and it runs down, of course, into the steering rack. And this one, there's no issue. But I did want to show you guys one cool thing. This is why I really like these fittings, these high pressure fittings for the pressure side, is because if you look inside, there's actual set of reverse thread. So when you actually screw on this bottom piece, you actually have to go counterclockwise. And what that does is it forces that line to get shoved up inside, versus these where it just has a couple hooks and then the top part just presses the line onto those edges, onto those sharp edges, and locks it in. This one will actively force it to lock in. So as you're tightening this guy down and it's tightened down, it's not only pulling on the line, it's trying to force it to go inward. It's also pulling this in and conjoining them. So that's how you get that really nice seal, and you won't have any leaks. And also make sure you also have the right line for these, because I've been told that these do take a special line. So that's why I have that heavy duty high pressure line. But for the brake lines, here, let me get some light. We can actually see that they're actually really nicely tucked up away from where the valve cover is going to sit. So that is nice. It's going to give me a little bit more room versus the other ones that just looked ugly. Even though my dipstick is going to be roughly here, so it's going to make it impossible to check the oil. But, you know, swap life. But anyways, there you can see how the Maximum Motorsports hydroboost lines sit. And of course, you can tell that my distribution block is a little bent. That's mainly because my car has been around the block a couple times, so everything in here is a little tweaked. It's nothing's perfect, and that's what you kind of have to expect with an old car, especially something that you're swapping into. So later I will be getting some flat stock, probably from Home Depot or somewhere, and getting the hardware so I can properly mount that oil cooler, and also properly mount my overflow tank. But there you can just see more of the lines, how they sit down here. Should be nice and tucked up and out of the way. This one's not really tight, so it should sit something like that. So just make them look really nice and tucked up, and run them right along the frame. In here, you can see that we might have to possibly, well, no, we'll just have to run probably a little bit zip ties and maybe make a small bracket to hold those lines in place for the tires, so we don't rub up against them. Because here you can actually see where I rub against this, but that's only when I didn't have it bolted down. So as you can see, it sits back versus where it normally sits. So yeah. Also, nice little secret that I'm gonna tell you guys now is that the engine is back. It's over at Wayne's house. We're currently just waiting for the crank to get polished up. Once we get the crank back, the engine will be getting assembled and it's gonna get almost 100% slapped back together, ready to drop in. Right now, all I'm waiting on is a set of cams, and I still have yet to decide what kind of clutch I want to go with. So if anybody got any ideas, you know, drop them down in the comments, let me know. I'm thinking maybe going with an RST twin disc setup. I really do want a twin disc setup, mainly because I will be shifting at high RPMs, and I don't want a crazy stiff pedal. I like the clutch pedal to be moderately soft, nothing too crazy, but I like this car to be still very, very streetable. So I do not want that crazy 100-pound clutch that the old school guys used to run. I want this car to still be a street car. Even though it does not look anything like a street car underneath the hood, it's still going to be a street car. But with that, I'll catch y'all later. Hopefully on the next episode, we will be building the engine. I got permission from Wayne. He said it's cool for me to record, so I can show you guys just what all goes into building a high-performance motor. Probably not everything, you know. Everybody's got their secret ways of building a motor, but I'll at least show you the majority of building the motor and all the cool shit that's going to be going inside it. But with that, I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.